Hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Kaleia and I go by Kaleia on Instagram. And today I decided I wanted to film my first knitting podcast. I'm currently on break from school, so I'm back in Oregon. I am a student currently and I study illustration in Japan, so 2/3 of the year I'm not at home. But now I'm on break and so I can be home and knit all day, and it's actually snowing outside right now, so it's really pretty, and I thought it'd be kind of like a fun time to just talk about some knitting. I've been thinking about going to like a knitting group or something of the sorts, but I haven't been able to go, and I don't know, I just thought it'd be kind of fun to talk about my knitting, what I've been making, considering I've been knitting every day for many hours because I'm just at home and all my friends are still at school since the Japanese schedule does kind of run differently. So yeah, so I think I'm gonna go with like a regular podcasting format, talk about some finished objects I have. I have a lot of socks, I have a sweater, some mittens, so just some general things, and then I have some whips that I want to talk about, and I do have quite a bit of acquisitions actually, which is kind of exciting. So yeah, the first finished object that I want to show, probably my biggest one, actually it is, is my Brady Loops sweater by Other Loops. It looks like this, and then here's the back. It's a saddle shoulder construction, and then I'll also be having my Ravelry open on my iPad. This was, I knit this about, I want to say like 2 months ago. I used some yarn I picked up in Japan, so while I was there. So I don't know if you can find it anywhere else. It's the Diana Collection Sophia wool plus a mohair. So it was the Rich More Excellent Mohair Count 10. As you can see, the original yarn for just the merino was a grayish color, and then the mohair is like a bluish gray, so it makes it sort of like marled color. Originally I wanted like a solid gray, and this is actually my first sweater I've ever knitted, and so I wasn't really sure what I was doing with yarn as much, but yeah, I don't know how much I'm in love with the color. I think from far away though it does look good. I'm really happy with how this came out. The fit is great. I'll definitely insert a picture of it here. I'm really happy with the bind off. Yeah, it's honestly a really simple knit. I think if you're a beginner, this would totally be accomplishable. You may run into a few issues, but I mean, you might have to frog a little bit, but that's, you know, part of the process. And then it makes finishing it even sweeter, I think. So I ended up having to purchase more than I originally bought for the quantity. I don't know if I miscalculated it or the pattern didn't allot for enough yarn. I'm not exactly sure, but this was knitted in, I believe, 4mm needles. Yes, 4mm for the body, and then 3mm for the cuff and collar. I think one thing I don't necessarily like about this one, and I've seen it on other people's as well as I think Other Loops actual design, so maybe that's my fault for choosing the pattern and I didn't like one of the design aspects, but I think the collar's like a bit low. Like it scoops down a little bit farther than I wish it did. So maybe I would go back, pick up again, and then re-knit it for the collar to be a little bit thicker. But I I barely have like any yarn left over, so I think I'm just gonna leave it. But overall, I would definitely recommend this pattern. And I just oh, I forgot to show the bottom, but I just love the look of it, and I think it's so pretty. And you start off with just casting on for this cable right here, and then you build out from there. So I don't know, it's just a really fun knit. I hate casting on when they tell you to cast on like 200 stitches. I'm like, ooh, because I always miscount somehow. But yeah, I think it's really fun to work from really small to like really big. So yeah, I would totally recommend that. The next finished object are my Alma mittens. They look like this. Here's the back. I knit these in pure gynt. I'll put the colors down below since I think they're numbers and I don't exactly remember. But it's like an off-white brown with a darker brown in it. I love these gloves. It's snowing outside, and when I went on a walk this morning, I wore them and they were so warm. My hands were almost too hot, which is kind of crazy. But they've got some Latvian braids and corrugated rib at the bottom. I do have the notes in my Ravelry, I think, about how to make the cuff. I've seen other people do it very similarly. You just do like 2 rounds of pearls, the Latvian braid, I think 11 rounds I might have done for the cuff, and then another Latvian braid, and then you just knit to the pattern. I knit these on 3mm needles. My color gauge is pretty tight, and I do have really small hands. You definitely can't tell. I'm trying to think of something to compare it to, but they are quite small. So let me put one on for you. They fit perfectly for my hands. Yeah, I love the thumb gusset. If you can tell, it's not like when it like sticks out right here, it's sort of offset, which makes it really comfortable. So I think I'm thinking about knitting some mittens in the future, and I'll probably, because I don't think a lot of them have this sort of like offset to them, so I'll probably add it as a modification. And I just love the look of it. It's so pretty, and I originally was a little bit not scared, but worried that the pure gynt would be too scratchy, because I've heard it's like slightly rustic, but I found it works perfectly. I love it so much. I think it's actually quite soft, especially after blocking. Yeah, I knit these with just 2 balls. So if you use 3mm, I think you'll have enough with just 2. But if you do size up, I'd recommend 2 of the darker color, the one that's the flower color, and 1 of the other color, because I had quite a bit left over from that one. Another thing I will say is that at the top, this is probably with all mittens, but I've never knit, this is my first pair. This top part here, it like hurt my hands to knit. I'm not exactly sure why. I think I was just like pulling really tight for some reason, and it just got really tight up there, and they were a little bit hard to knit, but I still enjoyed it. Next finished objects I have are 2 pairs of socks. So the first pair of socks I have are these Moomin socks. I am so happy with these. This took so much, this was a labor of love for sure. So they're all over colorwork socks. These were the first socks I ever knitted, which is, I probably should have chosen an easier pattern. I mean, they still worked out fine, but I probably could have saved a few headaches knitting an easier pattern. But you know what they say, you should make something you truly really like, because then you'll be more motivated to knit it. So that's what I did, I guess. But on the cuff they have the Moomin house, one in the front, there's 3 all around, so it's a chart repeat. And then you've got just a regular heel flap and gusset, and then on the bottom I forget how to pronounce the name, but if you want to go ahead and tell me how to pronounce it, I'd really appreciate it. So cute. Just a regular wedge toe, and then another motif on the front. There's also some corrugated ribbing for the cuff. And then these ones were the first ones I knit, so they're slightly tighter. I'll talk about that in a second. But these ones have Moomin. I did end up messing up on the bottom a little bit. I'm not sure how this happened, but I was way too lazy to go back, and now it looks like Moomin is taking a poop. But you know, that's okay. It adds character, I guess, to the Moomin. So I definitely learned a lot knitting these. Well, as my first sock, I learned how to knit socks. They were really hard at first because I just could not get the tension right for the color work, and I was really having a hard time, since I like using magic loop, not getting the ladder. I did get it a little bit on this side, but you can't really tell, so I'm really fine with it. The first time I knitted it, the cuff is quite tight, and it is a bit hard to get over my foot, but you know, you can. And since there's 2 strands, it's strand color work, they are a little bit thicker, so they feel more like DK weight socks, and I really like that about them. I actually haven't worn these yet because I'm like scared to wear them. Also, it's a little bit hard to, I don't know, find what to wear with them, but I think they are so cute. Oh, I forgot to mention like the pattern specs. They are the Moomin Valley Socks by Susie Ashworth, and I knit them in 2.25 millimeter needles in Cascade Heritage. So I do find that this yarn does pell a lot, so I probably wouldn't use it again. But you know, it's really soft, so that's one thing if you're looking for really soft, and it's also really cheap considering you get a 100-gram skein for I think around like $12 American US. So yeah, I would totally recommend these. One thing I will say beforehand, if you are knitting colorwork socks, I really recommend knitting them inside out, so the floats are on the outside. It made it so much easier. I tend to pull on the floats pretty tightly, and that's what makes it really difficult to get it over your heel. So that definitely makes it a lot easier, and especially if you can tell, they have this like one part and then the float is so long. So on the first one I knit, the tension was horrible, and so that's the part where it's really hard to get over my foot. But other than that, I love these socks, and they are just so cute. Alright, so the next one I have is another pair of socks. They are the I'm so bad with these names. Oodi socks? Oodi socks by Sorry Northern. They're actually a free pattern. I think you just have to sign up for the website, like newsletter or something. And they look like this. They are so simple, but really pretty. I don't know if you can tell in the light, but it's got sort of purple specks. Oh, you definitely can. It's this gray purple color. It is the Mominoki yarn ramie silk. So it's a silk, ramie, and wool blend. It doesn't have any nylon in it, and I think the silk and then the what is it? The ramie make up for that, I believe. I knit these in 2.25 millimeters. They are originally supposed to be 2.5, but I found that I think this yarn is more of a light fingering weight than a fingering weight, so I was having troubles trying to get it to look the way I wanted it to, so I ended up sizing down. But I think they look so cute. They were super easy to knit. I knit them in, I think, just a week for both of them. It's just got the same heel flap and gusset. It's pretty standard. And the pattern is well written. I don't know if it's in the pattern or not, but I switched which one goes first so that on the edge of the, I don't know if you can tell, they're both, so when you wear them, this part will be on the outside. So if you care about that, then I'd recommend changing the order. But other than that, yeah, these are pretty simple socks. I've worn them a few times. Oh, they're so cute. I love them so much. The next thing I want to talk about is the Erica socks. I'd say this is like sort of a whip, sort of a finished object since it's not a pair yet. But these are the Erica socks by Yuka, a Japanese mostly sock designer. It's got the 2x2 ribbed cuff at the top. Got some garter stitch, broken rib at the back. This special heel flap? No. Is it the heel flap? I think it is the heel flap. Heel flap. It's got these crazy cables at the front. We've got some seed stitch, regular cables, and then twisted cables here. So these are knitted in Cascade Heritage, the same yarn as my Moomin socks. Originally, I thought I had enough yarn to knit it from the scraps. I was like a couple grams short, so I had to rebuy it, which is part of my acquisitions, but I bought another skein. I was thinking either of using, okay, so here's the last part from this same one. I was thinking about half knitting it in this and then part of the rest in the new one, but I was worried the dye lots would have a effect on it. But I was like, but it's like literally just white, a little bit of an off-white color, so maybe it doesn't. So I don't know if you can tell. I don't think it has any difference. But I'll be knitting it off of the new skein for the second sock. This is also my first toe up sock. So I used a Turkish cast on and then increased like every round and then every other round and then so forth to get the rounded toe actually. I do really like the fit of the rounded toe. I did find it was a little bit difficult increasing on such, of a small of an area, but I found it was actually not that bad. And I do like how the increased gusset looks. One thing I will say is I'm not the biggest fan of the way this looks. I'm not sure if I did something wrong, but it's like hard to get this to look neat, I think is what I've heard other people say, and I definitely agree. I found that I actually did go down a size of a needle for the cuffing for the cuff here, so it doesn't flare out, which I've seen a lot of other people's, so they look pretty neat, I must say. These fit, I was really worried about the fit because you have to determine when to start the increases, and I was worried that I would start too late, too early, but actually I started at the right time. So I think it was like, I forget how many centimeters from where your sock is to the end of the heel, and the measurements worked out perfectly. So I'm excited to knit the second sock of this one. I think it looks really good, and again, I think this yarn is really soft, but it does peel, so that's kind of what you get with a superwash merino. But I will say that I also bought this from Woolen Company. They do wind it up for you for free, which I really love, and it came pretty fast, like 4 or 5 days. And it was relatively standard pricing, so yeah. If you need Cascade Heritage for any reason, I would definitely check it out. So next whip, I guess I'll talk about, no, let's break it up with something actually more interesting. I've been working on the Dagmar jacket by Petite Knit. I've got the back panel as well as the right shoulder, almost so far. Got seed stitch, some cables, and the honeycomb, and I am so excited about this. I think I started on this last week, and I'm knitting it in Drops Lima in the color 9025. It definitely has a name to it. Maybe it was like London Fog, but it's this like cool toned gray with I don't have a fresh skein, but it looks like this. It is the Garne Alpakka Folgetrad. Not sure if I'm saying that right, but it's a lace alpaca, which I am really in love with, and I love the way they look together. I think they look so pretty. I'm so excited to complete this. I literally cannot wait. I did have problems with hitting gauge. I think the jacket is supposed to be knitted in an Aran weight. I think this is closer to worsted. I did see other people using worsted weight yarns on Ravelry though. I've had to go up to a 5mm needle, and even then I don't think I'm hitting gauge. I didn't end up blocking the 5mm one, so that I don't really know, but I'm knitting a size medium, and we'll see how it goes. It may be too big, it may be too small, I genuinely don't know. And if it is either too big or too small, I guess that's the price I pay for not blocking it again. But I was also worried. I did get the recommended sizing for a medium, and I'm a little scared that's gonna be too big, but I'm not really sure because a lot of people said it runs really big, but then I don't know. I guess it's just a knit and see. We'll see what happens once I knit it, but I'm really liking the way the fabric is working up. These two knitted together are really soft, and I'm hoping that the alpaca lace will prevent the lima from pilling as much. So yeah, I definitely recommend holding these two together. It's working up really nicely. I'm hoping it doesn't have too much drape. I want it to have a little bit of structure, and I'm kind of worried since it's mostly alpaca that it won't, but I will continue to cross my fingers as I knit. So there's that one. Next, I have one last. So while I was waiting for my Cascade Heritage to come in, I decided to cast on another sock. It is from 52 Weeks of Socks. I borrowed this from the library, and I'm knitting here it is. These are the Kaisla Socks. Don't know if you can see it very well, but they are quite simple, sort of semi-faux cable socks, and I'm knitting them in Drops Nord. I don't think this was exactly the best yarn choice because of the fluff. It's hard to see the cables, but they are really soft, and I think they look great. I'm working on the heel flap currently. I love the look of the yarn itself, and I think in the light it actually looks pretty good. I did find myself a little bit worried at first that it's knitted in 2.5mm with a 72 cast on, which is quite a lot. So I decided to size down to a 2.25 and I think that's going a lot better. I didn't end up casting on with a 2.5 just to make sure, because I'm pretty sure I've knitted a few socks now, and this is going well. I've tried it on a few times. Not much to say about this. I've heard that Nord for socks does felt pretty easily because of the alpaca, but we'll see how it wears, or how I will actually wear it, if I'll wear it a lot or just around the house, or I don't know. But I'm really liking these so far. So that was the last of my whips. Now I want to talk about some acquisitions. I have quite a bit of yarn. I did end up purchasing a lot of yarn to be shipped to my house here because I'm on break and I wanted to spend all my time knitting. So I have it in this big bucket. I have a lot of sock yarns because I really want to knit a lot of socks. Let me see if I can find some patterns that I've been thinking of knitting. There's a lot of yucca patterns that I like. I really like hertigae socks, which are knitted I think on 2.25. You can use like multiple colors, which I find really fun. So the sock yarn, I'll just show it all at once. I have a few drops Fabel and Nord since I've been wanting to try that. I definitely thought on the website that this brown was less heathered, but in person it is more heathered than I thought it was gonna be. So there's that brown. I also got this pink, which I really like. It's like a magenta color, I guess. I have some Opal sock yarn, which is such a pretty color. It's this lovely, like, oh gosh, I don't even know. What do you call this? Like periwinkle blue? And then I also have these two skeins of other Nord. I find that for some reason this color of Nord is softer than this one. I'm not really sure why this one's scratchier. It's not really scratchy, but this one's definitely softer. So I guess keep that in mind if you're wanting to try this one out. And then recently, the other day, I visited the Naughty Lamb, which is in, I forget where, but it's in Oregon, about 40 minutes from where I live, and I picked up 3 skeins of knitting for olive merino in the color soft rose. So they look like that. I think it goes well with my wardrobes. What I tend to wear are like, I don't know if you may have noticed, but I tend to wear browns, grays, pinks, and blues. So this works perfectly. And I'm thinking of knitting, I think it was Florence's mixed rib cami, and that needs knitting for olive merino. So that's what I plan to make when it gets a little bit cooler, or hotter, I guess, outside. Yeah, I think, or I might knit the, what is it, the square cami, is something else that I've been really wanting to knit. However, I'm not sure I really like square necks on me, so we'll see. I think I tend to like the boat neck better. I also wanted to talk about some things I've been wanting to knit, not related to the yarn I have currently. I have seen the Foyka genser. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. I want to knit this so bad. I've seen, I think her name is, oh my goodness, I'll put her name here. But her channel name is Danish Musings, and I love her channel. She is so wonderful. And I love this sweater. She talked about it once, and I have seen it a few times on Instagram, and I love it. I love like the color work. It like looks like crystals to me, or like stars. I don't know how to explain it, but I love it so much and I want it so bad. So there's that project. I also been thinking about knitting the songbird mittens, and I've seen Pat's knitting on Ravelry make it with a lining on the inside, which is something I've been wanting to try. There is a Sadness Garn magazine that has a bunch of patterns that I want to try, which have these color work patterns in them. But I'm not sure how to get my hands on that. I've looked and I can't seem to find it, which is kind of odd. I do plan to knit more socks from the 52 Weeks of Socks book, and I do plan to get the volume 2 as well, so hopefully I can use that. Yeah, I'll probably go yarn shopping for my birthday because that's all I really want, and I'll gift myself some yarn and maybe cast something on for my birthday. I'm not sure when I'll cast this on, probably after I finish the Dagmar jacket. But yeah, I think that about does it for, oh, the lighting has completely changed. But for my first knitting podcast, you can find my Instagram. I'll also leave my illustration Instagram in the description if you want to check it out. Hopefully I'll be back with an episode soon, or maybe I've been thinking of writing up some patterns, or possibly making tutorials. I'm not sure. If you have any suggestions for me, I'd love to hear. And yeah, thanks for watching. Bye.